perfected economy, not verbally, but to present him with a manila envelope with 2 weeks of papers explaining all this, why it was important, how it works, etc., which I've done many times, of course, but this was specifically for him. Okay, so comes time to get introduced to him, and I'm taken up, and about a half a dozen other people rushed at the same time, trying to take advantage of the moment for themselves. And when that quieted down, Montana successfully introduces me to Jerry Brown. And when he told him that I had prepared this presentation on mathematically perfected economy, his jaw dropped. Like he thought I must have been the stupidest son of a bitch in the world to even bring that up. Don't you know that's something you never even dare challenge? You know, I mean, he looked at me like, "Oh no, you're not going to give this to me." It was like, could I be a conspirator against him, putting him in a position where he would be required to respond to something which he couldn't respond to? Anyway, when he reached out to shake my hand, it was the limpest, deadest, coldest,
there's nothing worse
handshake I ever got in my life.
No, there's nothing worse than a limp handshake. It's just that sends shivers down my spine.
and I never heard from Jerry Brown again. Now there was hundreds of people just majorly enthusiastic about this, and what? I worked for 2 weeks and not even a thank you from the son of a bitch.
I just posted you another question. Well, actually, is it a question? It's more a statement, really, I think, from the chat box. It's in the Skype window there, if you want to have a quick look.
Okay, let me, I'm afraid I'm going to have to scroll to it. And I got so many people.
Yeah. Well, I'd just like to say, folks, it's you're tuned to tnsradio.com. We're interviewing Mike Montagne right now. Perfecteconomy.com. Also, there's actually some interesting videos on YouTube. You should. What's your YouTube channel, Mike?
Oh, I don't.
There are YouTube
actually,
videos
I don't even
out
know
there.
the address to it. I don't have time to tend to that.
Me either. Somebody go find it and post it.
Yeah, it's it's more than most people can watch. I did one video to cover it all, and that's actually the prototype for the video. But it actually mechanizes this process so you can actually visually see how interest multiplies artificial indebtedness into terminal debt. It illustrates how Ron Paul will fail. See, I'm the only one who's done the math, and I've had models online since Reagan was in his first term, complete with source code. If you wanted to invalidate the logic, it was all there for you to assault it. Instead, I only got thank you letters from, some of the better.
I've been thinking about that, and I'm trying to think why was that the case. Now, it's possible, for example, again, I'm kind of like you. I'm a number cruncher, and I'm thinking, well, what's required possibly is a smallish nation, just like Ireland, small population where information spreads rapidly. And we do like to talk over here. We do like to talk. Information spreads rapidly, but if, for example, we, the people of Ireland, decide tomorrow this is getting done, immediately there's international recognition of such a thing. If the Icelandic people decided to do it, immediately there would be international.
I don't think Iceland's going to go there without some pressure or some courage. It's sort of like in the actual Wizard of Oz.
Sure, but I wouldn't put it all down to... I mean, Brigitte, I've actually asked Brigitte to come on and have an interview with me. She did agree, but it was just a matter of trying to arrange a time that suited.
She is extremely busy.
Yes.
I am grateful to her that she gave us any time at all, and it was very difficult for her to do.
Yeah.
Because she is doing that many interviews.
Yeah.
But I can help her like no one else can. But the problem is, you have the courage to do what's right, and anything else is not solution. So you're condemned to the consequences of it. Yep. And, there's some problems, I think, understanding me. People who think in terms of opinion or just desire to accomplish an objective without refining, that into an actual process. What can get there, what cannot, what's the best way to get there.
It's like this. Either what you say adds up, makes sense, and can be logically proven, or it can't. That's the way to me, that's it in a nutshell, if you will. Either what Mike Montagne is saying, folks, is completely true, or it's false. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And, and we've given enough evidence here, and now, and the rest of it's on the website. There isn't any missing piece, so to speak, that isn't sufficiently obvious, though, because this is really such a cut
I think people
and dry
know
thing.
this.
If you want to prove it to yourself, 3 people sit at a table. One person sits on one side; they get to be the bank. The other 2 people sit on the same side. Throw some money on the table; it's theirs. They borrowed it into circulation with the bank. Conceptually, according to this purported central banking system, all right. Whatever it is, they have to pay some rate of interest. Make it an easy thing, divisible into, the units you have on the table so you can actually carry the thing out. But write down a piece of paper, period 1, month 1. This is the circulation. All right. You have to pay so much out to the bank, all right. So we have to do so much work, How are we going to do that now? We have to maintain the circulation. So let's trade a bunch of money between each other as if we're doing work for each other. Does that increase our ability to, we're making money. Does that increase our ability to pay the bank from the circulation? No, it's limited to the circulation still. Okay, so if you don't have the circulation to sustain that industrial activity, you can't do it. You see? So you have to borrow that into circulation.
I told an economist last week that actually lodging currency notes, what we call euro notes here, into a bank was actually a criminal offence, and he didn't believe me. You're not supposed to put them back into the bank.
Well, that's hard to believe, actually. But, and they go to the bank. You pay to the bank. That's what happens.
But the way the system is set up, you're not actually supposed to. I can take time to explain this to you, my logic behind it. But you're not actually. Notes are issued into circulation, therefore private transaction. Checkbooks and contracts, therefore the public transaction, if you will, the corporate transaction with the banks. We are not supposed to put these currency notes back, because when we put them back into the bank, we're taking them out of. We're removing them from circulation.
Oh, from that standpoint, you can say that it's undesirable for them to go there because this multiplication of artificial indebtedness actually requires, vaster movements of circulation. There's this theory of some preposterous economists that the velocity of money is what the matter is. And if you visit my forum at perfecteconomy.com, I answered to that a long time ago.
It's kind of an irrelevant point because,
it's not even kind of irrelevant. It's absolutely irrelevant because it isn't the velocity of the money. The velocity of the money, even now, is the speed that it can be transferred. Isn't the limiting factor.
I only use it to try and demonstrate to people,
electricity or whatever. But the velocity of money can be no greater than the speed at which you can earn it, which is the speed that you can produce the work. So there isn't even a limiting factor there, and the actual limiting factor is the volume, because we actually are existing under vastly deflated circulations. And what is the consequence of that? I can illustrate it to you very easily. Suppose there's 10,000 of us, and we're all arranged in a circle, all right? And facing the center of the circle. Each of us does work. And the order that we're in perfectly facilitates what we have to do. Basically, we produce something in a period. Let's call it a month. It could be a day, whatever.
Sure.
And at the end of the period, we turn over our production to the person to our left who pays us their money for that production. Okay? So, in effect, the money's going to the right, the production is going to the left, as it is in real situation. So, at the end, if we have a circulation, which in each case then, each of us has $10, for instance, and each of us does $10 worth of production. Let's just say it's in an hour, whatever. Doesn't matter. And so, at the end of every hour, we have the complete transaction happens at one time, perfectly, without anomaly. Now, let's just take that $10 from every fifth person around the circle. And what happens? At the end of that hour, when we all turn to the person to our left, turn over our production, and take our money, that can only happen through 4 people. The fifth person cannot complete that transaction until they earn that $10 from somewhere else, thus vacating it from somewhere else on the circle. Then the fifth transaction can occur. Then the sixth, seventh, and eighth, and then and ninth, and now the 10th one stalls, and it stalls until that person can earn it. And this whole thing slows down to a clog. Why? Because that money was paid out of circulation through interest.
Absolutely. There's a little story I kind of tell at the meetups. Just when new people come to the meetups to try and get some of these notions or ideas into their mind to begin their thinking process, I tell a little story. It's I use an American tourist. An American tourist comes to town, and that happens in Ireland. Okay, he comes to town, and he's $100, 100 credits, 100 whatever the hell you want to call him in his pocket. So he goes into the only hotel in town, and he says to the hotel manager behind the counter, "Hey, I'd like to see a room, but I don't know this town. I'd like to inspect the room to see what it's like before I agree to stay here." And the hotel manager goes, "Certainly, but I require $100 deposit, refundable if you don't like the room." So the American tourist says, "I agree, that's fine." So he leaves the $100 with the hotel manager, and he goes up to view the room. While that's happening, the hotel manager owed the butcher, the local farmer slash butcher, $100. He goes out the back door, hands the $100 to the butcher. The butcher says, "Thank you very much." The butcher happened to be with a prostitute during the week. He owed her $100. He gives her the $100. That's his debt wiped out to her. She was renting a room from the hotel manager for, guess what? $100. She comes into the hotel manager, pays him back the $100. The American tourist comes downstairs. "That room's not up to my standard. I don't really like it. I'm going to move on to the next town. Can I have my $100 back?" And the guy behind the counter says, "Sure."
Yeah.
He leaves with the $100. Now nobody is in debt. And the reason nobody's in debt, I mean, the same note just went in a circle, but now nobody's in debt. Before that note went through that circle, everybody was indebted to each other for $100.